Hi, welcome back to West Coast Geeks. I'm your host, Joaquin. How we doing, people? I know it's been a couple of weeks since I made my last video. I got sick with that flu that's been going around, so that jacked me up for a week. Um, and then last week I took a break. My DM group, my group right now, it's the holidays, so everybody's busy. But was able to add a new player, which is cool. And so I thought I'd take this opportunity to make another video on the series that's going to be an ongoing series as we play through. And so this video is meant for DMs, hence session 1 B2 keep on the Borderlands DM tips bandit. So if you ever decide to play this, you should probably skip this series, but if you just want to watch it just because you want to support the channel, I appreciate that. And these tips are just to help the DM create their own interesting versions of Bandit. So now that the intro's done, let's talk about bandits. Are bandits boring? So, um, the first encounter you're gonna have in B2 Keep on the Borderlands is your party is most likely going to be hired to guard a caravan, and so they're going to be attacked by bandits. And any experienced players or who have been playing more than even like 2 or 3 months are most likely going to find this encounter boring, right? They're just going to be like, oh. And so, as a DM, kind of want to make this encounter interesting. So, what I did was I had a long caravan going, and excuse me. So, not all the player characters, sorry, knew each other. And so, what I did was each wagon had a driver and a crossbowman. And so they hired the individual players to guard that caravan. So I told them that they would get 10 gold pieces, and then if they got the caravan intact without losing any of the merchandise or the goods, that they would get an additional 10 gold pieces. And so the bandits attacked them in this long stretch of road leading up towards the keep. Now, the keep is on the boundaries of the frontier, and so there's really not much help, but there are supplies going to the keep. Now, if you get a chance to look at the DM's map, when they show the keep, there's the Whispering Woods to north, the Raven Woods to the south, and then they also have the Spider Woods. And the, the map to the east has a road that goes through the Whispering Woods, and also that's where the Cave of Chaos. So you have this road that goes from west to east, and then from there, it's up to you to build and expand the rest of your world. That was the whole purpose of this adventure, was to help young DMs build their world and whatnot. A better a good spot to start would be, sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted, would be a fortress at the end of the frontier that leads to another city or town. It has to be a big town or a city, and this is like the spot along the way that's supposed to somewhat guard the road as best it can. The history of the keep. There's a video that I should be doing on that. I'll probably do that next week. And so the player characters have been, like I said, hired to guard the caravan. Plus, they should have been given some rumors. That was the last video, session 0. So if you missed that video, you can check that out as a DM because, like I said, it's going to be a long series. So I waited until the last wagon was coming around like a little bit of a bend. And once the other wagons had pulled past that, I had the bandits with a giant weasel attack the group. And so one of the players couldn't make it that game. And then the new player, he couldn't make it that game. So I had two players down and I only have three out of the five. So I said that the new player is supposed to join us. He's already at the keep. The other player, he kept escorting the other wagon, and the other three players defended this wagon. So this the background is that there was some high grass in this like plains area along with this bend and some rocks and other things where you really couldn't see. And so the bandits pop out, we roll initiative, and the fight ensues. But one of the characters, um, Eric, who at the time was I want to say he was playing a dwarf, and I let him have a boar or a giant ram, something like that. And so he charges the bandits as they're coming forward because the other player is playing I want to say a wizard, and I can't remember Greg's character off the bat right now. So Michael's playing a spellcaster, can't remember Greg's, and Eric is playing like a dwarf cavalryman riding a giant goat. And so he charges the bandits as the bandits are coming out. The giant weasel is set upon the spellcaster. Greg doesn't assist um, Eric, and so the bandits just come in and they almost kill Eric. And so what saved them, and this is what my first tip for the DM is in this type of encounter, is that have the wagon with two guards so they can jump out and assist if the players are starting to lose because Eric made a poor decision. Instead of joining the group and forming their line, he decided to do what a lot of players do. And Eric's a veteran player and he just got caught up in it. And so he charged the bandits and got his butt kicked. Um, he took down like two of them. The rest of the bandits came in, and with the help of the guard, and one of the guard was a crossbowman. So in the first round, he was able to shoot. He missed one, and he was able to shoot another round because he's not a expert in heavy crossbows or anything. So it took him a round to reload. The other guard had jumped out to assist him, and he had his sword, and so they were able to defeat the bandits. So they they go back to the keep. They've got their experience, and this is where, as a DM, you're kind of looking for like motivation and other things you can do with bandits. So there's no thieves guild at the keep, but it doesn't mean that bandits can't be there secretly. Doesn't mean that somebody else, as you can see in the picture on the left hand side, is using the bandits for his own needs. So think about how you want to use these bandits and what else can you do to make these bandits interesting. So when they get to the keep, they're going to find out this one bandit in particular, her name is Raven. And so she's been harassing the caravans with success so much that the merchants have gathered together and offered a big reward. So because there's five members of the group, I put a reward of 500 gold pieces if they can uh, find Raven's hideout, and another 5 if they can bring Raven back alive or dead. It's up to them. Excuse me. So at this point, the group has decided to go after Raven, and so Raven Raven's interesting because she you can make her being part of an organization. You can add more interesting other bandits. So I found this picture. I thought this was a cool picture because in the Keep the Borderland there are lizard men. So feel free to throw in a humanoid or something else just to add a little bit of variety to the bandit group. Um, so in this case, they found Raven's hideout, and I had Raven's hideout be like a little tree fortress area deep within the Raven Woods. And so when we meet again, which is going to be like January 8th, because our group meets on a Monday, so that falls on New Year's Day, and nobody's going to be playing on that day. Um, they're going to be doing their assault onto Raven's hideout, and in fact, we left it hanging with them encountering some of the bandits on the second time they've gone back. Because the first time they went there, they fought some bandits and they fought a bear because a bandit who was captured was leading him back to their hideout because he thought they were going to let him go. Excuse me. Instead, he took him a roundabout way where there was a bear that made a whole bunch of noise, and so the bear came out and attacked the player characters and wounded them enough where they actually had to go back to the keep and gain reinforcement. So, what are you gonna do with your bandits? Um, don't make them just this vanilla group. It's 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 boring, and like any other encounters where you have experienced players who have met goblins, orcs, and kobolds and other things until they meet a unique monster that they haven't fought before, the encounter or combat it's just gonna be boring. Um, they're just be like, oh, kind of get some XP and some gold. So what are you gonna do as a DM? As a DM, you need to learn to think outside the box. So I found I gotta figure the picture on the right is some family portrait that they did. I found this picture and I thought this was funny. So you could have a family, literally a family, who lives in a village and occasionally robs people, right? And so no one would suspect this sweet little girl is going to club you. And so think about different ways that bandits can improve your story or add to the overall history of the world that you have. On the picture on the left is I have some elves. Not all bandits are bad. Um, the area you could be in, maybe the Baron or the Duke, is like logging in a sacred forest that the king has said that you can't be chopping down wood there, and unless you have permission from the wood elves or the rangers. And this baron's like, you know what? I need to increase my gold, so he just decides to start logging in this forest. And so because this forest is so big, he's like, what difference does it make if I chop down a few hundred trees or whatever? So you can use elves and rangers as bandits because maybe in this area too, maybe it's not a good kingdom. Maybe they're a neutral kingdom, and so the rangers, druids, and woodsmen who respect the woods could be also bandits. Another thing that you can do with bandits, bandits are good for plot points. Bandits can have unique items, they can have journals, they could have spell books, they could have anything useful to help with the adventure. And so in my group, I have a journal, but the journal wasn't found by they didn't find out when they attacked the bandits so far, but they did buy it off a dwarf. Now my campaign's a little bit different. Um, the Caves of Chaos, I've moved it off the map and I sent it a little bit farther deeper into the woods, and I've re reskinned this whole adventure because I've had two players already play through it. So I call it the Lost Catacombs. So I'm changing a few little different things, but they bought this map off a dwarven miner who found this journal in the swamp next to the Spider Woods. And the new player, Luis, he's playing a warlock who we were talking about his guild, and so he's part of this guild called the Black Sun, which I thought was cool. And so there's a small town where they're from, and so they sent him to go look for. Sorry about that. I'm muting myself so I could cop. They sent him to go look for this gem, and actually made a little drawing of a Aztec god of Huitzilopochtli, and in the serpent there is a gem that they're looking for. And I said this is the page in the journal that they found. And the reason why I even started all of that because one of the other players was interested in going into the swamp with the lizard men. So as a DM, I was like, all right, so I've got to bring in a new player. I got to give his motivation. I have another player who wants to go into the swamp and investigate. They know about the Caves of Chaos, or in my case, the Lost Catacombs. So I'm putting all these different locations out there and letting them decide what they want to do. And really, that's the cool thing about the keep on the Borderland. And so the wrap up. Um, real quick, make your bandit camp interesting, people. It shouldn't just be some little fire around and they got some sleeping bags. Do they have some pens where they have their own, maybe some chickens or a couple of pigs or something like, make it seem reasonable how these people are living in the woods and gaining wealth, and what do they plan on doing with this wealth? You don't have to give it too much of a thought, but just um, make it make it unique. So, the bandit cave could be under a waterfall. Like there's just so many things that you can do with a bandit camp. Like I said, I stole the idea from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Kevin Costner, for those who remember that movie, and the bandits are just a they're just an encounter, but they can be more than that. Just like any of these encounters that you're gonna have, they don't have to fight the bandits. They can talk with the bandits. They can gain information. They can barter with the bandits. In this case, my group's gonna go kill the bandits. Excuse me, but this is just to help the DMs like flesh out the bandits. Also, in my campaign here, they also there's like another group of bandits. They met one, and they could have went and attacked that camp, but they chose not to, and so they went after Raven. And that's pretty much it, people. So as a DM, got this first encounter. Make it more. Make it special where the player characters are like, "Oh, that was cool," you know? Like they're gonna remember the time that they almost lost to got killed by a giant weasel and some bandits. Instead of just five bandits come out and they have their bows aimed at you and they tell you that, surrender the goods and walk off and we'll let you live. As opposed to, you know, um, having something on them that can be something where it's a just a little bit of information for the future, or it's just something that you just want them to learn about your campaign and your little world that you're doing. Bandits can have that information. So with that, people, I hope you enjoyed this video. You did, leave a comment down below. You made it this far, and you're enjoying the D&D videos that I've been putting out. Hit the subscribe button, and with that, people, have a good weekend, man. Catch you later.